Hey, I'm Mike, one of the founders of AskAI. I'm going to show you how you can create AI support agents for your SaaS business to hopefully save you time and deflect some of those queries so you're not having to sit there answering questions from customers that could be answered by documentation. So I thought I'd start off just by showing you how this works, what it looks like. So if you go to our website, you'll see a little widget in the bottom corner of the screen. You can click Ask a Question. We're going to ask a question here about how we can add AskAI to Slack. How can I add my AskAI to Slack? Now, we're using our Intercom integration, but the AI that's actually going to answer the question is the AskAI AI that's been trained on all of our support documentation. So it's not going to answer any questions that are outside of the realm of AskAI. So you can see it's answered the question. It's gone through in individual steps to explain how you can add AskAI to your Slack. It's given a relevant help documentation link as well. And so we're done here. We can say thank you and we can move on. So that's the kind of the end result that you're going to get to. You're going to have something that can automatically just respond to customers when they have those questions. Now, if maybe that didn't answer our question and you wanted to pass over to a human, all we'd have to do is say, talk to someone. And then what's going to happen is that conversation is going to be summarized and it's going to be handed over to a human agent. So you can see here that it's been summarized just here, and it's going to get handed over. So this ensures that you can never have to repeat yourself as a customer and you don't have any context that's lost. Now, let me show you a little bit about how this works behind the scenes. So right here, we've got our dashboard that I'm logged into, and you can see automatically we're getting a summary picture of all the conversations that have been had with the AskAI. So every conversation that's been had gets broken down into individual topics. So one conversation, a user may be talking about 3 or 4 different things. Each of those will be classed as a separate topic. Each of those topics then gets grouped up across multiple conversations, so you can see what the common topics that are coming up across your user base. This then essentially allows you to identify what the common themes are and what the priority issues are that you need to address. This could mean that you could improve your documentation. It could mean you improve the usability or UX of your product, but it's going to tell you quantitatively what the issues are that you need to resolve. Right at the top, we can see we've got some metrics. So we've got an AI resolve metric. This is basically saying how many of the conversations that the AI is having, is it resolving itself versus handing over to a human? So we can see in this case, 94% of conversations are resolved by the AI without having to do that human handover that we saw a minute ago. The public conversations just shows the number of conversations that the AI has had, and the time saved is basically how many AI resolved of those conversations have happened at a 5-minute per conversation metric. You can also adjust this if you want to. If we wanted to, we can also capture leads. So if we want to capture emails, you can do that too. Right now, we can see that the main question that users are asking about is about the co-founders. So if we click into this, we can then see a summary of the topic. We can then click into this and see the individual questions that are asked. We would be able to see the emails that have been captured and any CSAT ratings as well, if there were any. So this basically allows us to see that summarized view of all of the action and interaction that's happening on AskAI. If you want to, you can also cut this in lots of different ways. So if you wanted to download that data, you can do that too. So if you want to do any analysis in Excel separately. If we go to chat, this is where we can test out our AskAI. We can ask it questions and see what sort of answers it's going to give to these questions. This is actually our own widget. So I showed you the Intercom widget a second ago. This is actually the AskAI widget. So if you don't have Intercom, Zendesk, HubSpot, then you can use our widget as a first line of defense, and then it'll allow you to hand over to other widgets or an email provider if you so choose. So you can see within here that within our widget, the AI is going to answer the question. It's going to give the links to where it's got that answer from. It's going to generate some AI follow-up questions as well. You can have a site search through the help docs here or here. And then once the user's happy with that question, they can then click that helped. And this is where your CSAT scoring comes in. So we're very happy with that. And then that would go into our CSAT metrics. If again, we wanted to pass over to a human, then we would just again type something like talk to someone. It's then going to summarize that conversation. We would click transfer me to a person. In this case, I've got Freshdesk, I believe. And you can see that it's given the summary of that conversation along with the last question. And then we can just, once we finish that interaction, we can close that. And then it's going to hide the Freshdesk widget, show our widget, and they can continue talking with that AI. They can also transfer to a human at any time just by clicking the talk to a person button. So that's basically how our widget works. And you're welcome to use that instead of any of the integrations as well. So now if I go into chatbot setup, this will show you how the AI is actually trained. So the first way that you will have trained your AskAI is by adding some help documentation. So when you signed up, you would have added a URL, preferably to your help documentation. We would have then crawled that site, added all of those web pages, and then on a weekly basis, we'll then look for any new web pages and update your existing ones to make sure that the content is always going to be up to date. You can add some additional sites here. So if, for instance, you've got a blog page or you've got a home page as well that you want to add, and we'll do the same thing. We'll look for those new pages as well. The next way that it's probably smart to be training your AskAI is by connecting to internal knowledge sources. So this is the way that you can really improve the answers of your AskAI by providing it with more knowledge. So we have a number of different internal knowledge source connectors. And from Google Drive, Notion, OneDrive, Dropbox, etc., as well as common help desks such as Intercom, Zendesk, Freshdesk, etc. So you can connect these up. You can then choose which bits of information you want to be available publicly and privately. I'll explain that in a second. And this will all go into the training of your AI. In addition to these connectors, so if you, as well as adding internal knowledge sources, you want to just upload files locally from your computer, you can do that too. We accept lots of different file sources. They're all in our docs, or you can ask our AI if you want to see a full list of those. And then we've also got our custom answers. Now, custom answers are basically a way to correct your AskAI's responses. So if you're getting an answer that isn't quite right, or if you want to add some additional information to it, then you can go into your custom answers and you can add a custom answer. So if we click into this, say we wanted to be able to answer the question, what is the capital of France? We could then click into it, add the answer, save the answer, and then the next time that question is asked, then the AskAI would be able to answer that question, even if it was written in a slightly different way. These are kind of what you use as a last resort. So if you don't want to update your documentation or you don't have time to, then we would say use custom answers as that kind of last port of call. So then in terms of customizing your AskAI, obviously this depends on whether you're using our integration or whether you're using our own widget. So if you're using our integrations through Zendesk, HubSpot, or Intercom, then you're going to do all of the customization in those individual applications. For our widget, however, there's a few things that you can do. So obviously you can remove our branding, which is just this little powered by my AskAI just at the bottom of the widget. You can also update the starter questions, which are these questions that you see here, and also add starter actions. So starter actions are basically they're defined buttons that are going to take you to do something. So if I were to click this, it's going to take me directly to a link to our calendar page so we can book a demo call. So you could have one of these for booking a demo call or taken to a pricing page, anything that you specifically want to drive the user towards. Here, obviously, you can change the name of your AskAI. That's the name that you would see here. You can change the brand logo, the colors as well. We can go into this. We can choose individually to change to a different color palette. And this is also where we'd change the language. So if you wanted to enable non-English support, you can then choose the language that you want. And then all of the elements of your AskAI widget, along with the responses, would then be localized to that language. Now we'll move on to the human handover. This is where you'll decide what you want the handover to be to. So right now we've got a fresh desk handover here. So when the AI can't answer, then it's going to give the user the opportunity to pass over to a human. We can change that just by clicking on this and choosing a different handover widget. We've then got a few other options of how to customize whether you're getting customer satisfaction ratings and things like that. The next one is email or lead capture. So lead capture is going to enable you to get the user's email, and then you can put this into a variety of different places. So firstly, you can just download an Excel spreadsheet of all the different leads that your AI has captured, but you can also create a webhook that you can then pass into a CRM, another system, to be notified of the email when the user has signed up. It's not just the email that we send though, we also send a summary of the conversation too, so you can see the context of why they were talking to the AI. Next we have our email assistant. So our email assistant is one of our more powerful features. It allows you to use all of the knowledge of your AI chatbot, but within your email inbox. So if you imagine you've got a support inbox, and instead of just giving a user a generic acknowledgement email telling them that you'll be responding to them in the next 24 hours, instead it's going to actually answer the questions. So it's going to identify all those questions, answer the questions, and then reply automatically to the user. You can also choose if you want to make this a more manual process where you decide which emails are going to be responded to by the AI as well. Now, when this happens, if the user doesn't like the response or it's not helped them, then all they have to do is reply to that email, and then it's going to go straight into your inbox. So you're not going to get into an AI back and forth. Finally, we've got our integrations. So actually adding this to your site is super simple. So if you're using our widget, all you have to do is copy this snippet of code and then paste this into the head section of your site. We've put the instructions into an email as well. So if you just click this button, you can pass these straight to your developer. Alternatively, if you're using our integration, then you would see the integrations just up here. And then you just follow the instructions for integrating into Intercom, Zendesk, or HubSpot. In addition to using it externally facing customers and visitors, you can also use AskAI internally in what we call a private mode. So we have integrations with Slack, Teams, Zapier, and API, and this will allow you to access this private mode. So if you remember back in the knowledge section, we were able to change whether we wanted information to be public or private. In this case, we've made the information private. So if a user were to ask a question about the terms and conditions, in this case, then it's not going to answer the question. However, if we were to ask it within Slack or Teams, which incorporate both public and private information, we would get an answer. So you essentially have a siloed knowledge base where some of the information is going to be used to answer customers' questions, and the whole of the information is going to be used to answer questions from your employees and colleagues internally. So those are the two different ways that you can access your AskAI. Obviously, if you want to kind of manage all of this, you want to manage your account, you can do that all through the account settings. This is also where you can add additional team members and decide on the access rights that they have. And one of the things we will do is all of these insights that we're capturing, we're going to make sure that you get them. So every every time a topic has been spoken about 3 times, then we're going to send you an email to say this has been spoken about. You can also create Slack notifications too if you want. So that's essentially all the product. And as you can see, there's a lot of functionality, a lot of rich features that we have. We're constantly developing on it, constantly improving it, and we're very open to feedback. Highly recommend getting a trial started. We have a 14-day free trial where you can test out all of these features at no risk and see how it works for you. Looking forward to hearing what you think. Thanks very much.